Welcome, everyone. My name is Teresa Warnstaff, and this is Soul Channel, a place for seekers to gather, raise consciousness, normalize spirituality, and change the world. I am beyond excited to introduce my guest today for many reasons. Let me share them. Lauri Rubinstein is not only a dear personal friend who I admire, but she is a force to be reckoned with. And she is part of how we are changing the landscape of our world. Her program, Own Your Power, allows individuals to step into that essential place within themselves that is so vitally needed for us to change the world. Lauri has been a coach for, gosh, how long, Lauri?
I started my coaching business about 15 years ago.
Yeah, a long time.
Coaching for well past 24 years.
It's amazing. And how I met Lauri was I hired her. She helped me at a very pivotal time of my life. And then we became great friends, and then we started working together. And now we get to play a little bit for you today. So, Lauri Rubinstein, welcome.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Me too. This is long overdue.
Yes,
Let's just say that.
Yes.
And today we're going to focus on a specific topic because Lauri and I have so much aligned values and wisdom that we could simply talk your ear off for a long time. But today is very important because we want to talk about radical self-care. And this is something that Lauri is an expert at. So first of all, let's define what is radical self-care.
Yeah. So self-care is what we talk about a lot, right? And it's taking care of the body, in my opinion. It's eating well. It's, sleeping, exercising, making sure this amazing vehicle that we have been gifted with is running optimally. Radical self-care then adds feeding your soul. It's the element of bringing in the spirit of play and joy and feeding your soul so you have the energy and vitality to answer your call, to be optimal at your best. And you need both to really be able to do the things that you want to do in your life and to create what you want to create in your life and have the amount of light and energy and attractiveness and vitality for you to be able to do that. If we don't have that radical self-care piece, the feeding your soul piece, you're kind of limping along.
I love that. I love how you've taken something that we've learned from a very young age, which is self-care, broken it down into its categories, and then expanded it so that it becomes an asset and a tool as we step into it.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's a lot of people out there going, joy, play, what? What does that mean? How does that apply to radical self-care? So share more about that, please.
So the thing I love about this most is when the key piece in radical self-care is bringing in the spirit of play and opening ourselves up to play again, play that brings joy. And I have a method called joyful play that teaches us how to do this. But so many of us, we grow up and at some point we kind of devalue play. It's frivolous, or we don't have time for it, or yeah, I'll think about that after I get my work done. And culturally, since the Industrial Revolution, it really came in. You get your work done first, and then you can play. And play is not important. But the reality is, play is such an essential part of who we are. It inspires creativity, productivity. It aligns us more with our purpose.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of health benefits that come with play, but it's also redefining play for you, because a lot of us think it has to be this big, gregarious thing. But play can be as simple as, one of my favorite plays that brings me joy is to sit on my back patio with a cup of coffee and just be quiet. And it just fills me up, and I love it. And I listen to the birds and watch the animals, and it just feeds my soul. And I get up from that, and it just changes my entire day.
I think that's an essential point, and I want to highlight it because I've actually done this class with Lauri. It's been several years, but I found it revolutionary and it challenged me.
Yes.
So I'm going to share a few of my perceptions and let's expand upon them, because my relationship with play was very contained,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We can't be too big, too loud. Yeah.
Exactly. And you had to do it in a certain way, and it had to be certain things at certain times.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm like you. Solitude is vital for my well-being. Nature is vital for my well-being. So for me, I define play much, much differently than one would think. So can we go into that a little bit? Because I think it's really important that we expand on this concept a little bit.
Yeah, because play is so unique to each person. And, I think I am a huge introvert. So the thought of the really loud and out there, which occasionally is fun, I can do, but the solitude for me brings me so much joy to just be, have a few minutes to just be. And when we can find these different ways to play that feed our soul, and we know we've hit them when we leave it energized. And there's a distinction between play and joyful play, play that feeds the soul. And that, I'll give you an example from my own life, and then I'd love to hear an example from yours.
Okay.
So we're big skiers. We live in the mountains, and downhill skiing is play. It's fun. We do it almost every weekend. And I'm always chasing my family. It's adrenaline. I catch up to them and then they go. So I don't get a lot. And we have a great time, and it's so fun spending time with them. But at the end of the day, I am wiped out. Versus if I go cross country skiing, Nordic skiing, there's this quiet and a rhythm to it. And it's beautiful, and your nature and there's scenery, and the snow is sparkling, and you can take it in, and you're not like speeding down hill. And I get done with that. I can do that for a couple of hours, and I get done and I'm so energized. I feel like I just got this huge lift. And that's play that brings me joy. And I know that because I'm energized after. I'm not like, oh my God, that was such a fun day, I need a nap.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
100%. And for me, the play and joyful play, a great example would be I love to drive. I love getting in the car, turning off my head and that chatter, and
Yeah.
just going out and exploring. And, you drive for errands and to get your groceries and to blah, 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 right?
Yeah. Blah, blah.
But when I get in the car and I know that I'm either going to a state park and I'm going to go hiking, or I'm driving somewhere beautiful, or destination unknown, there's a vitality that comes in. And for me, the other thing that happens, Lauri, and I think this is where you're going, which is why I'm going to bring it up, is I connect in with myself at
Ah.
a deep, deep level. And
Mhm.
then magic starts to happen. And I
Yeah.
know you know all about magic.
Yes, I do. Yeah. And that's that spark of joy, right? That spirit of play when you can bring, play brings a lightness. There's fun. And but that's that piece that if you bring it through anything and you can tap that spark of joy, that moment of joy. Joy is not a state that you stay in all the time, but it's what you experience. And when you can connect in to yourself in that light spirit of play, you connect into your soul, you connect into your higher self, you connect into spirit. And the way I see it is it's kind of like a beam that's like, you just like, you're in it. And it's amazing. And that activates an attraction that you can't explain. And the synchronicities, and you're at your best and you're choosing you, which is so critical. And when you choose you and you get into this type of radical self-care that you're feeding your soul, you're sparking joy, then you're breaking through blocks. You're receiving from self. So when you're able to do this, your self-worth increases. You get more connected to your wholeness. There's so many benefits of it. But in the process, we all have these patterns that have kept us from play, or beliefs or energy constructs that come from our families, culturally, school, religion, so many different places. And what I love about this is it kind of brings them to the surface and you get to move through them and clear them. And you have even more capacity to play, more capacity for joy, and more capacity to attract and be in that field to be able to show up in your highest power and create.
I love that. That is the essence of self-realization, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
really that ability to connect in with self in a powerful way. And I think my belief is that in order for us to continually self-realize and self-express at a deep, authentic soul level, one does need to move through blocks and to move through challenges.
Yes.
And so let's talk, it's not, listen, nobody likes moving through the hard stuff.
No.
If we had a choice, we'd sign off and say, done, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not how it works, though. So, speak to us a little bit about how joyful play can be a catalyst for self-evolution and moving through blocks, and how you can utilize it as a tool and build that skill.
Mhm. Yeah. Because it's a practice, it's a state of being, and it's a ritual, practice ritual. Um, and what I love about it is when people start looking at play and we start talking about receiving and we
Mm.
start talking about priorities, triggers come up. And when the triggers come up, it's not comfortable, right? It's uncomfortable. It's a little unsettling. But the beauty is it's an opportunity to free yourself and to clear that pattern. And that's the beauty of the course you attended, the group, is to be in a group field where we can process through these blocks and release the energy and the emotion from the body. And one of my gifts is helping you clear that. And it is amazing how quickly things are clearing these days. But in doing that work, you expand your capacity. You create more freedom and wholeness. And it's the foundation to liberating yourself into your sovereignty. And when we do that, it's so beautiful, because every time there's a trigger, there's an opportunity for more freedom. There's an opportunity to experience more joy. There's an opportunity to bring the spirit of play even greater into your life.
Yeah.
And play through life. Like, I don't like to do anything that's not fun. And I believe that even in the toughest of times, and it's not easy moving through these patterns. But what's unique about this practice and my work is we can bring a levity into it. We can bring joy into it. Even though it's hard, doesn't mean we can't laugh. Even though it's hard, it doesn't mean there can't be joy in it. And when you embrace that and you find what that is for you and that freedom, Teresa, you said you went through the class. What was the freedom that you experienced from it?
Foundationally, it was understanding my relationship to play and how small and closed my relationship to play was, how I had constructed my life to achieve and do. And it was very doing based. So for me, it was renewing and reconnecting with that small child within me
Yeah.
that wanted to get out and play, and a lot of that for me was tied to safety. So it was liberating the little girl in me who had those perceptions.
Yes. Yes. I love that. And that was somewhat similar to mine, in that it was work, work, work. You didn't play. You got your
Yep.
chores done. You got your homework done. I did it in my work. And, it's great to have a good work ethic, as long as it can't be all of it. There has to be a nice rhythm to it. And a big part of that is finding what that is. And I had forgotten how to play. I had forgotten that essential piece for me is being able to bring humor and lightness into even the toughest of times, and being able to release that and really figure out what does bring me joy now, because I had started living to everybody else's expectations. And when I started developing this method, it freed me to be able to choose me. And what do I want? Not what do I think what is expecting me to do, or what somebody else wants me to do, but what do I want that might buck the system? And being
So
able to
that
get into that.
so that brings a question,
Yeah.
because for people who are really disassociated with their play,
Yes.
how do they learn what they want? I mean, because that's sometimes, we're so disassociated that we can't even grasp or imagine what we might want. How
Yeah.
do you do that?
And I think that's common. Like, if anybody listening to this, I hear that more. We are more likely to know what we don't want than to know what we want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to start there. What we don't want. And then if we don't want that, then what do we want? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And what I love to do is experiment. Curiosity is one of the key aspects of finding your way into radical self-care. Because curiosity for me is magic. It, when we're in curiosity, we can't be in self-judgment at the same time. One, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're curious and we experiment, I love doing lots of experiments and in different areas. And if you're experimenting in play or in what do I want, it reminds me, remember that movie with Pretty Woman. What's her name?
Yeah.
Runaway Bride. Runaway Bride was the name of the movie, but she was trying to figure out like what she liked, and she didn't know how she liked her eggs because she just ate the eggs of whoever she was with. If they like scrambled, she liked scrambled. And she had all these plates of eggs and she was trying them to see which one she liked. And that's kind of like your experiments. What could you experiment with just to see? Do I like it? Do I not? Does it energize me? Does it tank me? And then you start defining qualities within the experiment. So one of my qualities, which is like you, Teresa, is I found stillness kind of ran through a lot of my joyful play. And it's that place where I can just be. I don't have to be doing anything. I don't have to be there for anybody other than myself, and just be and connect into spirit, connect into my higher self, connect into me, my soul. And that stillness helps me do it. Other people, they want to be more active. They don't want to be still. They want to be doing something and riding bikes, hiking. A lot of nature for people tends to instill that because it's just the energy in itself in nature is life, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many different ways that my clients have found joyful play in. Just, being in the water, being next to the water, walking the beach, swimming. I have one client that sneaks out of her office and gets a cup of coffee, and she loves shopping. She loves just looking around and she'll get a cup of coffee. She takes 15 minutes and walks around some of the stores on the street by her office, and it just lights her up and it transmutes her whole day just doing that one little thing. And that's the thing about joyful play is, how do you take the things that bring you joy, feed your soul, and bring that play into 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, so that you don't just get hits now and then, but you sustain what you're creating.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love the imagery that you provided with that. And I have a client who, for her, joyful play is gathering a bunch of people in her house
Mm-hmm.
and having a big party. And
Yeah.
this isn't about the food or the alcohol, it's about the community. And I think what I'm hearing, I want to paraphrase because I think it's a really important point, is joyful play is something unique for every single person out there. And it's ours to be curious, figure out what it is, and
Yes.
then give ourselves permission to receive it.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. And can I tell you about another client?
Yeah, please.
Oh my gosh. I had a client, she had such a huge breakthrough. And she had two little kids, and she was struggling. She couldn't even play with them because she just couldn't play. And moving through joyful play, she broke through the patterns that were keeping her from, that's not how she's supposed to do this. Right. And she sent me pictures of her on the ground playing with the kids. They were building this huge thing. And then she sent me another picture of her just jumping off of a boat. And she had the biggest smile. And she said, I have never been able to do this before. And
Oh,
but just the freedom of that. And other people will look at that and go, oh no. Like the thought of shopping for me, no, I'm not a shopper. Would never be joyful play for me. But that's the beauty of it. No, there's no wrong answer. It's your answer. What's right for you? And taking that in. And I love that you said giving yourself permission to be in that and then sprinkling it throughout your day, all these different elements. And it's just experimenting and figuring out, oh, I like this, I don't like this. Like when I first started, I had to really experiment with, I think I like this. And then I got into it and was like, maybe not. And then other things, surprisingly, have become joyful play that I thought I would hate. So, yeah, it's that beautiful place of self-discovery.
I love that. And those are such great examples so that people can start to envision where their place of joyful play is. And I want to extrapolate some things that I heard. One is that it occurs in the micro, that 15-minute coffee break,
Yes, yes.
and it occurs in the macro where you actually
Mhm.
take several hours or a day or a week
Mhm.
and find your joyful play and feed yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
So how do you bake it into your life?
that's just it.
Yeah.
And I think you start in the small chunks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about the inner journey of
Mhm.
discovering our joyful play.
Yeah.
We've talked about how we can do it and how it can be used as a tool to overcome blocks or to gain insights
Yeah.
when we're triggered and going through challenges. The other thing that I heard, and I love these conversations because I hear things just a little bit differently
Yeah.
from the first time, right?
Yeah.
Is not only does it impact your world
Mhm.
within,
Mhm.
it's reflected out in the world. You mentioned synchronicities.
Yes. Yeah.
And it also influences relationships, such as the woman playing with her kids on the floor.
Yeah.
So let's expand upon those three areas of influence and impact on our lives: self, others, and how we manifest and how we occur in the world. Because I think that's the juice and the squeeze, right?
That is the juice in the squeeze. And it's the most triggering part. Because here's the secret. You have to be your number one priority.
Mhm.
Yeah. And when I say that to women and some men are better, but they grow up a little differently. But when I say that, it's like guilt, selfishness, like all the triggers, right? That come in. But when you can be your own priority and you bring in a practice of self-care and radical self-care, feeding your soul, you are at your best.
Yeah.
And when you are at your best, you're at your best for your people you love the most. You're more productive and creative. So they're getting the best of you. So it enhances your relationships. When you're taking care of you and you're your priority and you have that centeredness and connectedness, you don't accept things that you would accept in a pattern. Does that make sense? So you tend to not have toxic relationships because you don't have toxicity within you, right? When we're connected and whole in our priority and we're in our best and we're full, that magneticism is what goes out and we get it back. We get whole people back. We are able to be in our hearts and love. And I call that sacred warriors of the heart, right? We're there for our family. We're building better relationships. And when we're at that place, we're at a frequency that we're also bringing in the like. And it's in that piece that the magic starts happening. We also don't give away our power when we're there. When we start, we stay out of doubt. We stay out of, I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or, anything kind of like that. Yeah, see?
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
I don't know why. I love it.
Thank you, AI and universe.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, I am so passionate about this because play is so downplayed and joy. But I'm hearing more and more people talk about play and talk about joy. And when you research the benefits, they're off the charts. Like when we're in that place and we're experiencing play and we experience joy and we bring more joy, moments of joy into our life, we aren't in fight or flight. Our stress levels are way down. Our inflammation goes down. I mean, our mental health alone takes a hit. And if we don't do that, if we don't really practice this and connect with this and find this place within ourselves, our family, the people we love the most, end up getting our worst. Because we're out there trying to serve everybody else and be there for everybody else. And then who do we come home? We're fried and we come home and we yell at the kids, our husband, or, the dogs and cats.
Yeah.
But, the people we love the most usually get the worst. And we don't want that. I don't know anybody who wants the people they love the most to do that. And then we beat up on ourselves, right? So it's this vicious cycle. But if you can just find 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, a couple times a day, you'll be amazed of this specific kind of radical self-care, how it changes your entire trajectory. And it's simple. It's not easy. You got to do the work. You got to be willing to do the work. But the work is freeing. And the results are amazing. They're phenomenal.
I could not agree more.
That
Everything that go ahead.
might have been more than you wanted.
No, that was everything that I wanted and everything that everyone needs to hear.
Yeah.
This is the message. This is the essence.
Yeah.
And Lauri, I'm lucky because I know you so well. This is your genius, your ability to bring people into this world because it is very triggering and it is challenging, but it's worth every single step. And as I said, you're masterful at this. You do this so well. You hold people, you see them, and implicit permission to be brave, to be courageous.
Yes. and see your own light. Big, bold, and beautiful light. Yeah,
That's what this life is about.
it is.
All right. Please, please share where people can find you and what you've got going on.
What I got going on? I just happen to have be starting a new joyful play. It's a 7-week group that is going to start. When's it going to start? The 18th of April. And it's 7 live group meetings with me where we're going to move through the joyful play process, and we're going to break through all those patterns that are stopping you from really being able to connect with you and find out what it is that brings you joy. What is play to you? And we're going to experiment and we're going to share. It's just such a beautiful, magical experience. This is definitely one of my most popular programs, and it is this is my baby. Like, I love this. And I love that it's I hold a really safe, expansive, transformational space to do this work in. And so that starts. I'm going to be opening that group up for registration on the 27th of March. And you can
Yeah, I'll add all the links
okay,
so
the
that you
links.
can make
Remember the link.
I'll make sure that all the links are both in the email announcing the release of this podcast and in the show notes. And so, because this is evergreen and people will listen after this time, can you also share what else is available? Because
Yes.
listen, if you catch this in time to join Joyful Play,
Yeah.
just do it. Just do it. You'll thank me later. and and how else can people work with you?
Yeah, you can. My website's lauriRubinstein.com. I'm in the middle of a rebrand, which I'm excited about. But one of the free offers on the website is a playbook that kind of helps you move through the material, and that will be evergreen on there in the new site too. And then you can always sign up for my weekly articles where I talk a lot about play and joy and breaking through barriers and creating a life you want, relationships you want, work, and lifestyle. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, this has been amazing. And I'm so grateful, Lauri, that you have shared your wisdom, some of your wisdom, and your time with us. So thank you.
Thank you. This is such an amazing vehicle that you've created for people and resources, and I love it so much. So thanks for having me on it.
Thank you. And thank all of you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and check out Lauri and I on all the social media platforms. And remember, you're amazing, you're brilliant, and you are deeply, deeply loved.